Shalom, shalom. Welcome once again to another Tanakh review. My name is Uziel Lewy. I'm one of the teachers of Congregation BINAH CHOKMAH, D.C.B, located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, New York. Our address is 382 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. Thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for all things, life, food, clothing, and shelter, and also thanking the Creator for being who He is, the God of the universe, Yehudah, the Lord of hosts. We give glory unto His high and holy name because He alone is to be glorified and magnified. And we're here once again, like I said, doing another Torah review or another Tanakh review, praying that the Creator of heaven and earth be with us all, thanking the Creator for the life of the leader, the spiritual leader of our congregation, even Chief Prince Yerdiel being Saskar, praying that the Most High God be with him and his family and his household, that the Creator will continue to be with all the people who are part of our organization, those who are physically there and those who are members online. We pray that the Creator be with you all, protect you and keep you and guide you. I pray that the Creator will continue to be with Kobe Yisrael scattered in the four corners of the earth, and that He will watch over us. And even in these times of war, during this time of war in Europe, and whatever implications that might have for us and our children in the future, we pray that the Creator will keep us protected and will keep those people who are in the midst of it, that are powerless, will keep them straight and protected, and that the Most High God will have mercy on them. Praying that the Creator of heaven and earth once again be with us all and protect us. Thanking the Creator for this platform, and an early Shabbat Shalom to all of you. At this time, we will be going over Haftarah Wayak'hel, which will be conducted or highlighted by one of my teachers and my mentors, even Nasik, Zurishaddai ben Yehudah, praying that the Most High God be with him and guide his thoughts, and that He might enlighten us all on this day. How are you, Nasik?
Great, Baruch Hashem. First of all, I give praises to the Supreme Eternal Universe, God of my forefathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob. Due respect to the platform I'm on, the spiritual leader, Chief Prince Ariel Ben Yasaskar, to the host, Chief Uzael, to the Princes, Chief Maureen, Cornine, the rabbis out there, brothers and sisters. I greet you all in the time of my forefathers. Shalom Aleichem, and early Shabbat Shalom. Adonai Septadi Takopi Agiti Lateka Olom, that my lips and my mouth shall declare that praise. It's an honor and a blessing to be able to share. I know I rushed through the last subject somewhat, trying to condense some things in. And like I said, any mistakes have been my own in reference to those things. I noticed that one comment that a sister had made in reference to a term, Samanila, which is meaning that you can have words or sentences, phrases that can be written backwards and it will have a different meaning. And it was in reference to the term uses God, and being backwards being, DOD for dogs, and being, and she, I think if I recall correctly, that being from the UK, saying that people respect their dogs more than people. And often than not, a lot of people do look at some of their pets as part of their families. Some people would go say, that's your daddy over there, it's a dog or a cat. And the same thing, they say that's your mother over there, it's a dog or a cat. They're referring to as a cat being a child or the sibling, and the owner being a parent. And they look at them as part of their family. And we know people will certain things to their pets and dogs in reference to the deity. And FG had a problem referring to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and using that term God. You have other words that fit in that category where even a term we use like Yah, and we had this famous saying, Yah Chai, Yah lives. But then Yah spelled backwards is hey, something altogether different from what we we're looking for. El itself, which is power or the Lord God, and in a singular form, which is used by other people as well. But El spelled backwards, Lamed Aleph, means low, no. So what are you saying by saying no? So you're gonna have things like that, and there was a few more examples of that. Is I wrote a couple down. This decaf, which some people drink decaf coffee, but spelled backwards is faced. You faced somebody. Or I like this one here. I deliver. Delivering a package, spelled backwards, it means reviled. So when we look at those different things like that, we can't get caught up with the language that the general population speak, because we're going to have that in every language where something can be spelled backwards, and sometimes we use it for far as teaching tools, and mostly in rabbinic literature and stuff like that, where we try to convey another meaning to a particular word. And sometimes, which is different from the palindrome, which is, the phrases could be read in a different order, but still pretty much mean the same. Well, that being said, it's more important that we know who we are addressing, and who we call matters not as much as who answers the call. So if we call in, and they say, okay, I don't want to use the tetragrammaton itself, and you use other appellations, because when he told Moses what his name was, he used a tetragrammaton, and it could be pronounced many ways, that tetragrammaton. And that's even a controversy amongst Hebrew speakers. But he said his memorial forever was the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Elohe Abraham, Elohe Yaakov. That would be what he would be remembered by, and how he affected their lives. So the creator, that we say the creator, is not who he is, it's actually what he did or do. He creates. And if you ask a person, who are you? If they tell you their profession, oh, I'm a carpenter, I'm a mechanic, I'm a doctor, then I need to know, is that your name or that's your profession? Or you rather be known by your profession as opposed to your name? And then how you call somebody and what their name are different things. So that being said, I hope I kind of brought some kind of harmony to different what would appear to be conflicting viewpoints in that area. So now we're in the Sidra Wayak'hel, and it means and he assembled. But before that, I'd like to touch on a few things that we had passed. But this Shabbat that just passed was actually Shabbat Shekalim. Now, for those that may not be familiar with Shabbat Shekalim, it's usually the first Shabbat before the month of Adar. Now, most might say, well, are we in the month of Adar? This has happened to be a leap year, so we have two Adars, Adar, Rishon, and Adar Shani. Adar Shani is considered the month of Adar. The Adar Rishon happened to be just something we filled in for the gaps. So for those that might want to study the way they formulated a standardized calendar. So hence, Rosh Chodesh would be this coming week before Shabbat, and it comes on Shabbat. They celebrate on a full month, a Kodesh Malay, which is a full month. Kodesh Malay, excuse me. They celebrate a full month, 30 days, and Adar Rishon. And so the end of Adar Rishon would be considered a Rosh Chodesh. The beginning of Adar Shani rather, is a Rosh Chodesh. So now, Shani means second, Shani is just two. All right, so when we look at that the head of the month would be a Rosh Chodesh. They'll be celebrating Rosh Chodesh. Sometimes you might see on your calendar, those that have a standardized calendar that's printed with two Kodeshim, Rosh Kodeshim back to back, which we find an example that's used up in the book of Shemuel, example, an example of that being celebrated 2 days. Now I'd like to bring out a couple of items that I said I was going to touch on going forward, because like I said last time, out of 15 chapters from 25th chapter of Exodus to the 40th chapter of Exodus, concluding on the book of Exodus, Shemot, you have 13 of those chapters dedicated concerning the Mishkan and also the priestly rituals and, everything to do with the service and building of the Mishkan, except for the two that's dealing with the sin of the golden calf. I like to focus on that. And I said I would come back to another item on some of the other things that was in the Mishkan itself, which was the priestly garment, the most holiest part of the priestly garment that he would wear. Most people would think would be the ephod or the CHOKMAH, because the ephod had the stones, lights of perfection with the 12 tribes, and then you had the Shokan stone, which is the onyx stones with the names of the 12 tribes written in there, with the 50 letters, as I said last time. But the holiest item is the zitz that he binds around his head. That's his holiest item. And that's his item that reflects us. So I'd like to go back just a little bit, just read a verse from the 28th chapter of Exodus, around the 36th verse. And it said, "Thou shalt make a plate of pure gold and engrave upon it like the engravings of a signet, holy to the Lord." So that is what he's supposed to be, holy to the Lord. But who do he represent? He don't represent God. He represents us. And further, it goes on to say in the 37th verse, "And thou shalt put it on a thread of blue, and it shall be upon the mitri," which is a turban wrapped around that, "upon the forehead, upon the forefront of the mitri, it shall be, and it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, and Aaron shall bear the iniquity committed in the holy things which the children of Israel shall hallow, even in all their holy gifts, and it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord." So in order for him to atone for us, it's not just alone for him to go through the ritual, but also he bears a signet of his position, and the position that he has is to represent us in the presence of the Most High. So the bells, the pomegranates, the ephod with all the lights of perfection might be going up in there, and the Urim and Thummim, and there's 2 stones with the 12 tribes. The most holiest item that he actually wear is that little band of gold tied with some strings and quarter blue. And that serves the unique purpose of his whole job. Now, if any of those items are missing, he can't do the job. But this solidified, and it's on his head where the thoughts is, where a person wants to get close to the Creator at. So I just like to bring that out as well. And I'd like to move on just a little bit more and just reflect a little bit on about, we know the priest garments is for glory and splendor. And that we always say, especially from the school I'm from, that when you go to present yourself before the Creator or even address the people, you're supposed to have a certain type of look, a moral look that's supposed to represent some integrity and cleanliness and holiness. So hence we read in the 33rd chapter of the book of Exodus, in the 4th verse, and I'm just going to pull that up right quick as we just peruse through it. And this is, well, I'd like to go up a little bit further. I'm going to bring out just a little bit when the creators mentioned about the sin of the golden calf. I'm just going to go a little bit into the 3rd verse. And it says, when God the Creator says that, the 3rd verse says, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, for will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way. And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man put on his ornaments. And the Lord said unto Moses, say unto the children of Israel, you are stiff-necked people. If you go up into the midst of thee, if I go up into the midst of thee, for one moment I shall consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments from Mount Horeb onward. Now, what's so important that we tend to gloss over that sometimes is that presentation before the Creator is very important. And I like to try to drive that home. You know, people say clothes don't make a man, man makes the clothes. True, some man make the clothes, but clothes also define who bears it. And that's what the difference. The priest garment define his role. When you dress a certain way, you define what you're about in life. So here it is that the people, when they sent them in the matter of the golden calf, they went to worship with all the bling, all of the gold, the jewelry, the finest. They go to service and worship. Not just the priest dressed well, and he had the best looking outfit, but everybody else outfit wasn't on the same level of the priest, and they wasn't allowed to make one similar to that of the priest. But they did. They adorned themselves with the bling. So heavy chains, bling, and bracelets, whatever the case is, bands, all kind of crowns and stuff, to go to worship, looking their best, even to do wrong, they was dressed that way. And what is another catchy phrase here is that if they took the garments off, ornaments off, why is it a need for the Creator to say, take them off when they already took it off? That's something to think about. I just will put one position out there that if they took it off already, they felt ashamed. But they might decide every now and then someplace else, I might throw this on, throw that on. When the Creator told them to take it off, they no longer wore those items. Now that brings up another scenario as we went to Wayak'hel with the donations, because jewelry in a box don't look as good as jewelry on the individual. And that's the thing. That's why we wear jewelry. When you got, all your jewelry in a box, I said, it look okay. But is their beauty really appreciated? Their beauty is appreciated when you put it on you. So now, we getting ready to go into, before we go into Wayak'hel, I'd like to bring out one more point. Moses used the terms, they are surely they're stiff-necked people. And the Creator know them to be a stiff-necked people. And I said, every building factor within the Mishkan got something to do with our moral principles and that effect. So now what can we extrapolate from that. The boards, the beams that held up the sides going around the Mishkan, not only they stood erect, they didn't bend, they didn't slump over. Everything had to be perfectly aligned straight. So stiff-necked can be used in a good way. I could be stiff-necked and rebellious when it comes to changing and leaving this God. That no matter what you tell me about how green the grass is over here, how much this God that you talk about over here done or will do, I know what my God did for me. And therefore, I'm not leaving this God. I'm not leaving the worship of this God. I'm not leaving the praise of this creator. So therefore, I'm gonna be stiff-necked about that. I'm gonna rebel against what you're trying to bring to me. And I'm gonna be sincere and committed to what I know is good for me. And what I know is this. So when Moses used that, he used it in the sense that, oh yes, they are stiff-necked now. But if they believe something is strong and firm enough, they're going to be stiff-necked to stay. You notice a lot of times people say some people fell by the wayside, no longer, observe Shabbat to the limit. What we consider observing Shabbat in the holy days or participating. But throughout my experience, throughout most of the years, throughout my experience, that most people that fall by the wayside, one thing they tend to have in common, very few, and I know quite a few, but I could pretty much almost count them, ever say, I'm gonna go and worship another God. Very few say, I'm gonna eat pork and a lot, they might eat at other stores, but they might say, even if they eat at McDonald's, they might say, I don't want nothing but some beef burger. I don't want no pork. I don't want no shrimps. I don't want no clams, no escargot. So they will hold to that because deep in their soul, they know the problem is not with God, but with them. And that's why they still hold on to some, and they still communicate to those that still participate in this way of life, because they might consider you as a little bit of assistance, as a help, a helpline to pull them back, because they might feel, I could come to you, but I'm not ready to go to God yet, but you still holding on to God, so I'm gonna keep in contact with you. And perhaps I'll move a little closer to you, because you start seeing moving closer to God, and you're not pushing me away. And so that's why most people that's why the stiff-neckedness could be used in a virtuous way, where once I'm committed to something, I'm not going to rebel against it. I might not be all that I need to be in serving it, but I'm not going to rebel against it. I'm not going to quit this way of life. We used to have a saying, from the womb to the tomb, we're going to be just that committed. And a lot of Israelites are, for the most part. And I'm glad to say that they are like that. And that's a quality that's embedded within the individual. Because some people, you say, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. Why don't they just go ahead on and don't look nothing like an Israelite? Don't even say they're Israelite. But they still know the grassroots, and that's a great thing. And that's the stiff-neckedness. So we can gain it. So it's a positive as well as a negative. And we must take those things and use it as a positive. We know when Moses came down with the second set of tablets, his face shone at that time. And the thing is that the people was patiently waiting on him. All right. So now we're in the 35th chapter of the book of Exodus. I'm just going to read a few things in it. And Moses assembled all the congregation of the children of Israel and said unto them, these are the words which the Lord have commanded, that ye shall do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day there shall be unto you a holy day. Be to you a holy day, a Sabbath of solemn rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work therein shall be put to death. You shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Shabbat day. Now, the only prohibition they mention right here is fire, but pretty much fire is a creative act. We heard about the Shabbat, observing the Shabbat from the Exodus, the 20th chapter. We hear about it in the beginning concerning terumah. You know, we read about the building the Mishkan. We read about it in the middle of the Mishkan. And now we're reading about it again after the forgiveness, when we get ready to actually build the Mishkan. So why is it the Shabbat mentions these so many times in between, before the Mishkan, in the midst of instructions about the Mishkan, and actually, again, you know, I mean, that we, when we get ready to, to build, actually do the building. All right. So the thing is that the Shabbat is definitely that important to the Most High. And most people would just look at Yom Kippur as the most holy day of the year. But the Creator, that the Shabbat is. And then it's tell you about, in Exodus, that in 6 days thou shalt do all thy work. And on the 7th day shall rest and cease from the work. But it's like more of the past. It's just like, if you look at it in the original language, it's almost like in 6 days, your work shall be done. That means that you're going to do what you can do within a 6-day period. But when you could draw a line to say, I'm finished for now, that means that God will complete the work for you. And so therefore, not that it's going to miraculously come to fruition. In other words, you will actually finish the job that you started and stop on the 6th day. When you go back to it, you will actually complete that project. Some people do a job and their lifelong mission never be fulfilled on that job. The Creator, if you observe Shabbat properly, whatever undertaking you go and begin will be completed eventually, with the help of the Creator. And now, even in a holy enterprise of building the Mishkan, creating space for the Creator, that Shabbat is a point in time that goes beyond space. So that's one of the great things about it, because we are building the Mishkan itself is saying, this is your welcome mat. This is your spot where you can have the Creator, if you just so desire. But the Creator said, my desire was that you have an invite, because the Mishkan is basically an invite. But where God really wanted to dwell is within each and every individual. That's where he actually really wanted to dwell. So, and in the beginning of Wayak'hel is that the symbol, like I mentioned in when the Sidra came earlier, when I did the series on the Sidrotes rather, that it's 3 types of assemblies, but this is for a divine and unified purpose here. When you talk about the word Wayak'hel, it's an assembly for a divine and great purpose, where everybody had the exact same thing in mind. All right, so this Sidra would seem like it's a redundancy of what terumah is, but they got a lot of differences here, because terumah is instructions that was never implemented. Now and here, we're going to find out not only we're going to do the work, but we're going to complete the work in a sense. And I just want to bring out the next verse. And Moses said, and Moses spoke unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, this is a thing which the Lord commanded, saying, take ye from among you an offering unto the Lord, whosoever is of a willing heart, let them bring it, the Lord offering, gold, silver, etc. All right. So now, what's interesting that unlike in Teruma, when he had individuals commanded to do the collection after the sin of the golden calf, it's no longer based on the individuals doing the collection. It's on you. Are you still down with the program? If you're still down with the program, you bring it. I'm not sending a collector to you. You bring it to show me that you actually are dedicated and still down with this God. So that is the difference as it began. He assembled the people and said, before, he just supposed to make sure it's in workers out. And the commands for the guys to get from anybody, collect from everybody, a collecting agent. This is not going to be a collection agent. This is going to be a fundraiser donation that you're going to have to bring it yourself. We're not sending out anybody to collect it from you. So that, right after the sin of the golden calf, if you brought items for an idol that did nothing for you, then show me how much you love this creator and that did everything for you and kept you to this point. That do I have to send anybody for you to show your appreciation, or you're going to bring your appreciation up toward him? If I had to send somebody out and you say, all right, I got something for you, come on by and pick it up. All right, it's nice that you're giving something up, but if you're excited about doing something, you will be the delivery person yourself. Make the presentation yourself. That's what a present is. I'm presenting it myself. I'm not having it secondhand collected. So that's one of the important parts. I'm just gonna bring that right now to be a little bit brief. Then in the 30th verse of the 35th chapter, and Moses said unto the children of Israel, see, the Lord had called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, which is interesting, and the son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah, and he filled them with the spirit of wisdom. So now we know that already mentioned his name before, and he's supposed to work in all manner of workmanship. Him and holiest. Bezalel means actually in the shadow of God, in the shadow of God. And the son of my, and the son of my light, which is father named Uri, which is my light. Holiest is in, at the tent of my father, and he's actually going to be dealing with the Mishkan itself. Now, what makes the Mishkan so unique is that not only are the boards upright and that it's portable. That means that wherever we go, and that's the difference between that in relationship to the temple, the Beit HaMikdash that Solomon made, is that the Mishkan, we bring in holiness and providing a space for our Creator wherever we go. Whereas the temple itself, we have to go to where the most holy spot would seem to be for our people, which is in the Beit HaMikdash that's dedicated to the Creator. So though we had a smaller enterprise with the Mishkan, it was everybody's job to contribute and build it, and everybody was in agreement with that. And the other thing with the temple itself, the location is mostly good for some people, some tribes, but not for every tribe, especially for the tribes that's across the water, across the Jordan. So the accessibility to the Creator, to a place of holiness was much more readily there for everybody in the midst, equal distance all the way around. So I'd like to just go further and bring out some other points in there about the Mishkan before we, I'm trying not to be too much in that area. But when we talk about the Mishkan itself and about the boards, the standing up, you notice that it also represents the people as in general, as that being this Sidra having to come in at the time, usually Wayak'hel and Pakodei is usually combined sidros in a non-leap year, but this time it's separate. But one of the things is that it's a community affair, not only a fundraiser affair, but a community affair. And that when they talk about this Shabbat was basically shekelim, a half shekel, it lets you know that no one's complete without somebody else bringing their part. So that's the half shekel instead of a whole shekel. And we talk about two different half shekels over the period of time. But the half shekel, one was for the count of census, and the other one was for the upkeep. And that is usually done around the month of Adar traditionally. That when you talk about the upkeep, it's only a half a shekel. And that means that everybody have equal stake in the function of the Mishkan, everybody, no matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are. And also that the boards are side by side and not like a log cabin with one board on top of another board, one log on top of another log. That's where a log cabin is. You take this log, put it on top of another log, put it on top of another log. And that's usually how the log cabin is, basically more horizontal as opposed to vertical, where the Mishkan was meant to be vertical. And not only that, while we're being vertical, we're attached side by side. That means that you are no closer than I am. You means no, you're not greater than I am. Whereas a log cabin, the log on top is in a higher position than the log on the bottom. So those are some of the lessons. And one more thing I'd like to bring up right now, before I could try to speed ahead a little bit into the Haftarah, is that when we look at the two particular items inside the actual sanctuary itself, is that only two of them is made of pure gold. One, the menorah, the candelabrum, that pure gold. Next, we have the ark cover, not the ark itself, but the ark cover that's in the Holy of Holies, made of pure gold. And some of the symbolisms we try to use in reference to that is that the ark cover will represent the heart, whereas the menorah with the flames represent the eyes. We learn a lot from our eyes, but it's the heart that carries more, because the eyes is constantly taking in. The heart is constantly giving. That's why usually the first part of an embryo is the heart, then second the brain. It's when we come to again to the Holy of Holies, that means that, and also later on, he promised to give us a new heart, not a new brain, a new heart. I know some people like to say lay meaning in mind and this, but it's the heart. As an organ, it's the most unselfish organ because it supplies every organ of the body, but no organ supplies it. The Creator is constantly giving. So then that lid will represent us purely giving ourselves inwardly to the Creator. And we gain and attain knowledge through our sight more so than anything else. So therefore, our eyes and our sight should increase in knowledge and be more ready to learn how can we be everything the Creator wants us to be. So those two items, the only items that's pure gold, and out of the major items in the Mishkan. All right, so I'm probably also I'd like to bring out at the end that a little trivial for people to look at is that when they sum up this Wayak'hel and maybe Pekodei as well, that is 7 phrases that's used in the creation of the heavens and earth in Genesis. 7 unique phrases that are reminiscent in the building of the Mishkan. So maybe next week, maybe some people might want to just discuss it, look it down, and see those different terms. One of them is, it sort of worked, and it was good. So that's a couple right there. But the 7 exact phrases that's used in Genesis, the first chapter, going into the beginning of the second, and that is used in response to the Mishkan itself. And one more thing I'd like to bring out in reference to that is that when it came down to the funds that was brought, that the people brought so much that Moses had to actually refrain them for giving. So the first community enterprise of free will that was brought, that one of the things that make these guys so unique is that they knew they had too much stuff coming, where Moses had to stop the people from bringing a lot of gifts to the Mishkan. And like I said, one of the things, I'm just going to read that one little verse in Exodus 36th chapter. And the second verse, just read those little parts there before we go into the Haftarah. And Moses called Bezalel and Holiest and every wise heart man in whose heart the Lord had put wisdom, even everyone whose heart stirred him up to come unto the work to do it. And they received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, wherewith to make it. And they brought yet unto him free will offerings every morning. All the wise men that wrought in all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they had wrought. And they spoke unto Moses, saying, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work, which the Lord commanded to make. And Moses gave commandments. Imagine giving a commandment. And they caused it to be proclaimed, saying, I got to shout this aloud throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. Can you imagine that you have a fundraiser and people say, look, I don't need any more money. I'm done. The project is complete. And then, some people have fundraising, some organizations have a building fundraising that been since their grandparents was kids. They're still raising the funds for the building fund. And you say, well, what kind of building they're trying to build? A skyscraper or what? How many people is involved? 3 or 4 people or what? But it is that they was going so hard in the show they want to worship. And like I mentioned earlier, the jewelry in the box that you're not wearing anymore. Say, well, I'm gonna put it to some good use. I wore it to praise God. I'm gonna bring some of that to give to God, since I ain't wearing it anyway. So, and they could use it. Whatever they're gonna break it down into, they're gonna be worth something. So naturally, that's why I alluded to when I said that when they took it off and they wore parts from praise or whatever they believed in at the time, and they wore that Mount Sinai, and when God made the revelation, and they wore it at the golden calf situation. So now, if I'm told to take it off, I took it off already, but the Creator commanded us to take it off and don't wear it. So if I can't wear it, what do I do with it? Bring it in. It still got value. Still is worthwhile. So hence, let's look at the artist. Mind you, they had no plan. How you know you're not going to mess up with this or mess up with that? Or you might need to tear this down and restart again. They were so good at what they did that they knew exactly how much material it takes to make something of the size and the quantity that's needed for the operation of the Mishkan that they never ever seen before. Now that's what you call a divine enterprise. So I'm gonna stop right there in that area there, and we will go to the Haftarah portion in the Book of Kings. Now I know some people might have did First Kings 18 chapter in relationship to Shekelim 18 1 through 19. But I'll be going from Second Kings. I'll be doing the Sephardic one because most Israelites do the Sephardic one, but it's one of the rare times during the time of Shekelim that actually that the Sephardic Haftarah is longer than the Ashkenazi, those that follow the Ashkenazi custom. But we're going to be reading about 2 Kings, the 11th chapter, the 17th verse. But those that might have time later on, there's a lot of history that a lot of people don't go into in the Book of Kings. I'm glad I come from a school, and I'm glad that D.C.B. and Shema and people like that as are individuals that individual schools that I know personally, and even Hashaba, that go into these other books of Chronicles and Kings and stuff like that, because it give you a greater insight when we're talking law and about what is the social norms of the time. So we're going to start from there. If you're ready, Chief, Second Kings, the 11th chapter, 17th verse. Children of Israel. And so
all right, we're in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 11, verse 17. It reads, and Yehudah made a covenant between Yahweh and the king and the people, and they should be Yahweh's people, between the king also and the people. And all
at a time when all his siblings were being wiped out by this woman, Athaliah, who tried to rule Israel, who was related to Jezebel's, so there's a lot of chaos stuff. So I'm not going to focus on that now. I'm just going to try to focus on the message at hand. But very interesting stories when you go into the Book of Kings. All right, but continue, 18.
Verse 18, and all the people of the land went to the house of Baal and broke it down. His altars and his images broke they in pieces thoroughly, and they slew Matan, the priest of Baal, before the altars. And the priests appointed officers over the house of Yahweh. And he took the captains over hundreds and the carries and the Carites and the guard and all the people of the land. And they brought down the king from the house of Yahweh, and came by the way of the gate of the guard unto the king's house, and he sat on the throne of the kings. So all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet, and they slew Athaliah with the sword at the king's house.
king's a young boy, as we're going to get ready to see. So he doing this and running things. Don't we had a king at a young age? It's only because of his birth and how he fell in line for the throne. But yet he was not, developed enough mentally to deal with a lot of situations that was going on. He was actually a fugitive that was actually looked out for by the high priest. They hit him in the temple itself, and some would say he was actually in the attic by the Holy of Holies in the Temple of Solomon, that first temple that was there, and him and his nurse, being he was a baby. So what is strange is that, one, you have a female that close up in that area. You have a young child in that area. How could all this go on in a holy spot? So it's questions to wonder about. The woman, did she have that cycle? Or what you do with the child, when when you have to do certain things and you eating and everything else going on, you're living and being hid in a spot where the priest himself actually only supposed to go on once a year. That go to show you how far away that things had left in Israel. That they had a temple, a place of Baal, had a priest of Baal, and that he had to hide out in a place. And the only reason he was able to hide out so well in a place like that is that a lot of people's not going there. A lot of people not worshiping the God of Israel. So it would go on unnoticed. We read later on through our history that the house of the Lord was closed. We just read just not long ago about Elijah having a contest with the prophets of Baal at Mount Carmel. You don't read about any priest sticking around and supporting them. All right, so now we go into the 12th chapter of the same book. Continue.
We're in 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 1. Yehoash was 7 years old when he began to reign. In the 7th year of Yehu began Yehoash to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Zebiah of Beersheba. Yehoash did that which was right in the eyes of Yehovah all his days, wherein Yehodah the priest instructed him.
Hold right there. Now, as long as the priest instructed him, he's okay. It's a lot that don't send you the little signals out there. Is it really him all the way or what? How long are you gonna maintain? So these little subtleties, when we read the book, we gotta say, well, what is the social norm all the time? Now, if he reigned, right, he began to reign at 7, and he reigned for 40 years in Jerusalem. Now, the kingdom was already split. How long did this man actually live? So we got to consider that. Did he make 80? Because 47 is all we come up with so far, with the 40 years of reigning, and 7 years, and at 7 he got on the throne. So his lifespan didn't seem too long, and that's the only time he actually reigned. But that's just something to reflect on. And notice the next word, 4th verse.
Verse 4 reads, howbeit the high places were not taken away, the people still sacrificed and offered in the high places. And
right, or is that wrong? That's the thing. Is it right or is it wrong for them to do that? That the people sacrifice in the high places. Either we for the Creator, or we say, look, I'm not going over there to Jerusalem. I'm not going here. I'm not going there. And if there's sacrifice in place, who's doing the sacrificing? We got the priest setting up things. The priest made a covenant. It would start up with the covenant between the Lord and the king, and also the people. So now if you got a covenant between the creator of heaven and earth and the king and the people, that means we all in agreement about what's going on. How do this take place? So let's read a bit. Continue.
We're in verse 5. And Jehoash said to the priests, all the money of the hallowed things that is brought into the house of Jehovah, and current money, the money of the persons for whom each man is rated, all the money that cometh into the man's heart to bring into the house of Jehovah, let the priest take it to them, every man from him that bestoweth it upon him, and they shall repair the breaches of the house, wheresoever any breach shall be found. But it was so, that in the 23rd year of King Jehoash, the priests had not repaired the breaches of the house. Then King Jehoash,
He got on the throne at 7. Now he's 23 years into his reign. Stuff is still messed up. Yet they killed the priest of Baal. So this is something to consider. Why 23 years later? How long it takes to get a project going? But read a little bit further. 8 verse.
Verse 8. Then King Jehoash called for Yehudah the priest and for the other priests, and said unto them, why repair ye not the breaches of the house? Now therefore take no longer money from them that bestow it upon you, but deliver it for the breaches of the house. And the priests consented that they should take no longer money from the people, neither repair the breaches of the house. And Yehudah,
To that. All right. They don't want to be responsible for taking money for that project. That's a subtle flag there. This is our people just trying to get it right. And the reason I focus on stuff like this is because it make me understand Israelites today and different congregations, and how leadership have, how much of a job leadership have in trying to steer and lead people in the right direction, and hopefully it be a harmonious following in the right direction for the pursuit, of serving the Creator. Because when you're trying to lead them in the right direction, you're leading them not for yourself, but you're leading them for themselves, where it's going to benefit them. And that's why a lot of times the leaders are mostly self-sacrificing, because he are doing it for their benefit, and not so much directly for his benefit. And even though he had that responsibility. And so if the priest say, I won't take that kind of money, and I'm not going to be involved with the project of building the house, but that's where your office at. That's where you're supposed to upkeep it. You're supposed to make sure everything functions in top-notch order, decently and in order. Now you can proceed, Chief.
Verse 10. And Yehudah the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it, and set it beside the altar on the right side, as one cometh into the house of Jehovah. And the priests that kept the threshold put therein all the money that was brought into the house of Jehovah. And it was so, when they saw that there was much money in the chest, that the king's scribe and the high priest came up, and they put up in bags and counted the money that was found in the house of Jehovah. And they gave the money that was weighed out into the hands of them that did the work, that had the oversight of the house of Jehovah. And they paid it out to the carpenters and to the builders that wrought upon the house of Jehovah, and to the masons and the hewers of stone, and for buying timber and hewn stone to repair the breaches of the house of Jehovah, and for all that was laid out for the house to repair it. But there were not made for the house of Jehovah cups of silver, snuffers, basins, trumpets, any vessels of gold, or vessels of silver, of the money that was brought into the house of Jehovah. For they gave that to them.
3 verses in there. All right. One of the things I'd like to bring out is that They'll keep the nice flashy utensils all right, but everything else is falling down around them. So it's more important to save the jewelry, the gold, keep that intact. The stuff I'm operating with, to keep it intact. But the framework don't mean anything. Now that is something to consider. And these are our people. This is the true story of our people. It's not so much setting, making them being condescending. It's making us aware of how low we can drop and descend beyond our status that we're supposed to be and worship. And yet these people still worshiping there, still going there. And sometimes people can go to a house in a congregation and go there and they see that a place need this, a place need that, and the membership don't consider. They look for everybody to be, oh, well, so-and-so going to take care of that. You know what I mean? You got the spiritual leader, you got the chiefs and the princes and the Maureen and some others. They're going to handle all that. Well, you go there too. Well, isn't that your concern? I mean, it's a congregation. It belongs to everybody. So that is what, really astounds me when you get to this particular portion there, because now the priest that was actually there, they get whatever they're supposed to get for themselves, but they didn't want to deal with anything else to deal with that other outside area, and I don't know if they're trying to send a message that you could see it need repair, because what's so unique about it is that Yehoash lived in that place for basically, close to 7 years. He lived in that place. And then it was only in his 20-something year that he decided to say, I need to fix it. So as a king. And Yehoiada been there before that. But let's read a little bit further.
Verse 15, for they gave that to them that did the work and repaired therewith the house of Yehovah. Moreover, they reckoned not with the men into whose hand they delivered the money to give to them that did the work, for they dealt faithfully. The forfeit money and the sin money was not brought into the house of Yehovah, it was the priest. Then
that's where it ends. Mm-hmm. Ends there. All right. I know there's a lot of good story up in there, but it's for people that want to read on, like I said, there's a lot of good stories in the book. But this is the Haftarah for Shabbat Shekalim. That's what that was basically the Shabbat that just passed. Wayak'hel was actually read, and like I said, Shabbat Shekalim is usually the first Shabbat before the month of Adar. And since we're coming into a Rosh Chodesh this week, by the time y'all see this video, you're already in the second day, which will be actually first of the month of Adar, the second. All right, so with that, I hope you got something out of what I said. Any mistakes been my own, and I hope I address all the questions. And Shalom Aleichem, and early Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah. Torah about Nasik. Thank you once again for a magnificent job. Praying that the Most High God will continue to bless you, be with you, and protect you. I don't have any questions today, so. I could ask you the question I asked you the other day that you said was a very good one on air.
Well, that might be something for them to kick over more to see that law is not really that simple, but
right. All right. So
I can't have an answer either to you. They might want to hear it anyway, but I don't claim to have an answer, directly.
Okay, so we're gonna leave that one between us. We'll leave it out. We'll leave it for a future date. Torah about once again, Nasik, praying that the Most High God be with you, and we thank you for your work that you do, and may the Most High God continue to bless you. Shalom, shalom.
Amen. I hope everybody also remember those 7 things.